The Denny's PBA Tour is off to a fast start. Each week, bowling record books are being rewritten. We started out with history at the Japan Cup, where Walter Ray Williams Jr. passed Earl Anthony as the all-time PBA title leader. In Milwaukee, the Masters showcased one of the most versatile players on tour as Doug Kent won his second Masters crown. PBA records were on the line again as Tony Reyes had a perfect game, the 17th 300 in PBA TV history, on the way to his first tour title. And last week, Pete Weber got back to the winner's circle. His 33rd title, another feather in the cap of his Hall of Fame career.
Yeah, that's right.
The battle between the young guns and the legends is really heating up. Who will be the next to raise the championship trophy? We find out next. From Stardust Bowl in Hammond, Indiana, not far from Chicago, ESPN brings you live coverage of the Denny's PBA Tour. Today, 4 bowlers battle for the top prize money and a 1-season exemption. Now, all 4 are ready to roll.
This 23-time Denny's PBA Tour champion is making his first TV appearance of the season after a tour-high 7 last season. From Claremont, Florida, Norm Duke. He's looking to break one of the longest title droughts on tour. Today he makes his first TV appearance since 2004. From Cave Creek, Arizona, Michael Haugen Jr. This week he became only the 4th bowler to go from qualifying round to championship round. At age 42, he makes his first career TV appearance. From Bourbonnais, Illinois, Steve Rogers. The Big Fin is making his first TV appearance of the season. Today he shoots for his 7th career Denny's PBA Tour title. From Heartland, Michigan, Mika Koivuniemi. These are your finalists competing for the title in the 2006 Lake County, Indiana Classic.
This bowling center has now hosted 4 PBA events in the last calendar year, 2 standard tour events, a senior tournament, and a tour trials. One of the 10 bowlers who advanced to the trials, Michael Haugen Jr., who is on the show today. Michael will take on Norm Duke. Norm out of the broadcast booth today and on the show as a bowler this time. In the second semifinal, former player of the year, Mika Koivuniemi takes on Steve Rogers, a longtime regional bowler, making his first ever TV appearance today. Speaking of first TV appearances of the year, Chris Barnes off the lanes in the booth for us today, replacing Norm. And Randy, of course, with us as usual. Chris, thanks for joining us.
Well, I'm glad to have something to do this Sunday.
Hopefully you'll be competing on the lanes as a pro bowler, not just as a broadcaster soon on our Denny's PBA Tour. Randy, let's talk about Mika Koivuniemi now. We know he has all the ability in the world. Could this be a breakout day for him?
Emphatically, yes, for a couple of reasons. First and foremost, he's bowling on his favorite pattern, the 39-foot chameleon pattern. He's won once before, and this is his 5th show. Maybe they should just change the name to the Big Fin pattern. Mika owns this pattern. And secondly, he's going up against an opponent today in Steve Rogers, who has never bowled on TV before. And keep one thing in mind. Mika is 16-3 all-time in opening matches on show day. And in my opinion, Chris and Dave, today will be anything but a beautiful day in the neighborhood for Mr. Rogers.
All right, big words there. We'll hold you to those, partner, no question about that. Let's talk about Norm Duke now. Chris, a player who made 7 TV shows to lead the tour last year, but as he told us yesterday, a bit disappointed in his season. But as you know, you faced him, he's bowling pretty well this week.
Well, I think this week matched his expectations, that's for sure. He led qualifying by 2 pins over Mika, but once match play started, one word describes his performance: dominant. He made roadkill of his 3 opponents, including me, on his way to going 12-0. He's looking to become only the 3rd player ever to go through this format undefeated. And oh, by the way, on the way to those 12 victories, he won by an average of 54 pins per game.
All right, guys, let's check out the old pattern, chameleon, that Randy talked about And Mika's been so dominant on throughout his career. 39 feet, and there have been 5 300 games on that oil pattern this week. We did have a 300 on TV, Tony Reyes in Taylor, Michigan. A couple weeks back, 17th ever. Here's our first matchup. Norm Duke, 23-time titles. Michael Haugen Jr. looks for his first ever championship. Underway, gets a break on a 7th pin.
That's pretty good right there.
He'll take it.
Wow. Already.
And the 4 players that we have on the show today, their styles are very indicative of how you were to play this chameleon pattern. And Chris, you made fun of it earlier by saying that there was 3 ways to play this pattern. Straight, if that didn't work, you went straighter, and if that didn't work, well, you just moved and went direct.
That was the way it went. Early in the week, you could hook it a little bit, but once match play started, it got pretty obvious what the right way to play him was.
Good start for Norm. First TV show of the year for Norm Duke after the 7 we told you about last season. Here's the Ace Hardware matchup. Randy, break it down for us. Duke and Haugen Jr.
Well, on paper, this is no match. Norm Duke with all of the experience, all of the wins, bowled a 300 game this week. Going up against Michael Haugen Jr. is looking for his first ever victory. But keep one thing in mind. Michael Haugen did bowl 279 in a title match against Pete Weber a couple years back. He's bowled some big games on TV.
Nice start, Norm Duke. Out of the broadcast booth. And on the lanes. He's won 2 majors. He has been player of the year. In 94 and 2000, the road to TV for Michael Haugen Jr. over Mike Devaney. He was down 3 games to none and told us last night what a rally it was for him. Devaney had a chance to put that away. Several times as Haugen strikes there. And late in that 6th game, when things were close, Haugen Jr. came through, and then he said, I felt relaxed in Game 7.
Yeah, he drew on his experience. He's playing for a lot of things this week, including his grandmother, and he's really taken advantage of opportunity. He got a lucky break in that Game 6, I believe it was. He needed 2 strikes in the 10th. He missed the head pin on the first one and backdoored it. Came back with a great shot after it. And, he just parlayed it into a great week.
And a great start for each here. Perfect for Haugen Jr. and Norm Duke. His grandmother, Betty Wallenschuk, with whom he is very close, back home in California. She is in the hospital. 81 years old. We wish her a recovery as quickly as possible. The thoughts Michael had of not bowling this week, not continuing. And there's a sign from back home in California where Michael was raised. Back to Norm. 10 pin. Now the perfect streak ends. So to finish the story on Michael, he decided to stay out here because his family urged him to remain and try to make TV.
Chris, you saw a lot of what Norm Duke did this week, and just talk a little bit about just how dominant he was. First of all, he didn't have a game under 200 the entire week, and he never missed a spare the entire week, and you witnessed it firsthand.
Well, he didn't shoot a whole lot of them, for one, but you didn't see too many of those either. The ring and 10, he didn't have much of that. They are hooking a little bit more in the back end today. All the players said they might have to move a little bit left, but Norm is so spot on right now. I mean, he is posting up every shot. Everything's on one foot. He's just so solid, shot to shot, and his repetition level is really high right now.
And if he were to go on and win this tournament, he would become the 3rd player ever to do that, which would put him in
elite company.
Such elite company.
Boy, was that a setup.
Oh, gosh. With who? There's Chris Hayden, and then
Forget the other guy.
Who's the other stiff?
Who was that? Some guy.
Oh yeah, that was you, Mr. Peterson.
That was Randy Peterson back
Thank
in
you.
02, guys, in Philadelphia. Randy's last PBA Tour title, and Chris Hayden 03 in Orlando at the Playa Bowling Open. All 10 down, Michael Haugen Jr.
I was just glad that I could pave the way for these other great professionals.
Chris, how difficult do you think this is on Michael? He really was close to leaving the tournament when he found out his grandmother, Betty, was so ill.
Well, sometimes it takes some pressure off you to play for something else besides yourself. And I think he's playing pretty free right now.
Okay,
This is
I wanna
all
make sure you're
a
okay,
big
bro.
parlay, and he's not afraid to be on this stage. I mean, he bowled Pete Weber for the title and shot 279.
High there, though. And a split.
Should have switched. Yeah, that's kind of hard.
4-6-7.
2 shots prior to this, Chris, he was high on both of them and struck. And this time, this ball does not lay off. And you could kind of see it coming. There was an adjustment that needed to be made for Michael Haugen on that left lane.
The other way.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Norm hasn't been giving too many people second chances here. It'd been nice for him to break that down and keep the heat on Norm. I fully expect Norm to do what champions do in this situation, and that's step on his throat.
Yes. Norm, a championship level season. Told you about the 7 shows last year. Led the tour in points, led the tour in average. Runner-up for Player of the Year award. Tommy Jones. Oh! Number 10 Norm.
And Chris, you said it. Norm gets the opening, and he puts his foot on his throat. And being a professional bowler myself, I've been to that party, and it's no fun. Watch this. Head pin comes across. I sure do like you, boy. Sling bladed out of there.
He was talking about his scouts last night. He says, you know, I don't throw scouts like a Robert Smith. I'm throwing like a Tommy Jones. But my big scouts are the ones that kind of slow roll their way over.
His good friend Brian Voss about to be surpassed by Norm Duke. Career earnings. Also, if he wins a title today, he'll climb the ladder as well into a 9th place tie with Brian Voss. 24 titles if Norm can do it. Right now, a 14-pin lead on Michael Haugen Jr. He's looking for his first ever title and inspired by his grandmother ill back home in California. The conclusion next. The Lake County, Indiana Classic is brought to you by Denny's. Denny's always works. By Motel 6, the official lodging partner of the PBA. For the lowest price of any national chain, go to motel6.com. By Ace, the official hardware store of the PBA. Ace, the helpful place. And by the United States Bowling Congress, ensuring the integrity and protecting the future of the sport of bowling. Bowl with us. Here's a shot of the Lake County Courthouse, built in 1878, nicknamed the Grand Old Lady, the center of Crown Point, Indiana, which is just a few miles from where we are here in Hammond. Hit the lanes next Sunday afternoon, 1 o'clock Eastern Time. The Discovered Card Windy City Classic. Best bowlers in the world go for the $180,000 purse and a 1-season exemption that's coming your way from nearby Chicago. That's only about an hour from where we are here in Hammond, Indiana, in the Chicagoland area.
Next week, we're going to go for some sausage, Dave. You and I.
I was waiting for the Coach Ditka bit to come out.
You know, the best team to ever play in the NFL. Bears. And the best basketball team? Wolfos.
Have them on ESPN tonight. Special Sunday night NBA special against the Lakers. We'll tell you about that later. Lakers.
My Lakers going up against the Chicago Bulls. This looks a little bit like Norm Duke's ring in 10. Really, really fast. When you have that kind of speed from that angle, you do leave a ring in 10. It's going to be a fast one.
It's going to get there in a hurry, and it's going around the bottom of it. That's not good news.
What adjustment, Chris, does Michael Haugen need to make now on the left lane? He's just coming off of a split in the 5th frame. What move would you make here?
Myself, I would tend to move laterally. I would tend to move left a little bit and move off that hook. It looks like Mike's decided to make a ball change. Ball change, he moved in a little bit, and it looks like absolutely the right move.
Guys, this polling center very special to Michael Haugen Jr. As we told you, at the top of the broadcast, tour trials this past year, he finished 2nd in the tour trial list. The top 10 got their exemption back. Mark Scroggins, Mike's twin brother, at an average of 228.91 to lead. Michael was 2nd, 10,270 total pinfall. Back to Norm here, who had a 14-pin lead, now has himself a 4-bagger. And is up 24, so this is a very special place for Michael Haugen, but he needs to rally, Randy, pretty soon here.
Yeah, Norm's kind of back where he needs to be, down on the lanes, taking care of business down there instead of up here throwing verbal innuendos with you and me. He'd much rather be down there, and it's amazing, what a week will do for you. He takes the week off. He had the neck injury, bowled 7 frames last week, and all of a sudden comes out here this week and completely dominates the tournament.
He is red hot.
I don't know, Randy, I always thought that the first shots coming out of the commercial break were some of the hardest ones.
Yeah, except when you're Norm Duke.
69 times he has won on TV in his great career. He's won behind Parker Bohm III. Wins this 71 total. Here's help on the 7 for Haugen Jr.
No ball change on the right lane.
Number being 6th place in that category. Mike Albee next with 80 TV wins.
Almost a bad break there, leaving the stone 7, but Michael Haugen doing what he does best in the right lane, and that's going right to left. That's his strength.
He was down before, guys, in this event. Told you about the round of 16 match. Mike Devaney down 3-0. 6 game. Devaney needed a mark. Michael rallied and won it.
Got a hit. Oh, yeah.
More help on number 7. He's not done yet. Big foundation frame strike. He believes it himself.
I mean, is he throwing a 14-pound ball? Because, I mean, it looks like he should have left like 3 stone 7s already.
It's pretty amazing how high, well, it's just how high flush he really is right now. Do you think he has any chance right now?
I do. I think that the one thing about Michael Haugen Jr. is he's not intimidating and he's not afraid of anybody. And it was evident in 2001 in Louisville when he bowled Weber. Can you say hold me?
There's a flag down on the play.
Let's check out the call.
Holding, right lane, guy in the pink shirt.
Repeat first down, 10 yards. 6 bagger. How about Norm? He is red hot. We saw that stat a moment ago. 18 straight years he's made a TV show. Who's the record holder? Brian Voss, who has 24 straight years. Not this year, though, for BV. You saw what Norm needs.
Winner, winner. Chicken dinner.
That's what it is.
This looks like Groundhog Day.
You saw this, didn't you, Chris? Up close and personal.
Every game. Down 30, and I didn't keep that many close to 25 down. All right.
It's just amazing. And Norm is a very versatile player. He can hook it. I mean, he may not hook it like you or Wes Malott, and Tommy Jones, but he can hook it. But I don't think there's anybody better than Norm at going straight.
Tremendous finish here for Norm Duke. Look at all the strikes pile up. He is red hot, and he is through to the championship match to take on either Steve Rogers, who's making his first ever TV appearance, or Mika Koivuniemi. And the long wait for Michael Haugen Jr. will continue. 182 events, and unfortunately for Michael now counting without his first career title. He dedicated this run to his grandmother Betty, who is back home in California, in Irvine in Southern California.
Go bowler.
The man of the moment, though, is Norm Duke, one of the most popular players in the tour's history.
You have to be quiet now, it's already over.
So for Michael, his mother, brother, and uncle asked Grandma Betty this week, would it be okay if Michael stayed out here in Hammond and bowled? And Betty, despite being of ill health, as we see the number now of futility continuing for Michael Haugen Jr.
Really, though, hats off to Michael. He bowled another great game again today. It hasn't all been his fault. He's bowled against some really, really top-notch competition, and unfortunately, today's on the wrong side again.
So to finish that story, Grandma Betty told Michael's relatives, let him bowl, let him go for a chance to make TV, which he did in her honor.
Good luck, man. One hell of a game, man.
You got away with that one in the ninth. I knew I was done. I knew I was done, babe.
Good bowling.
Yeah, I choked on that one.
Good luck, man. Finish it off.
You can hear the chants. Duke, Duke, because Norm Duke is through to the championship round. In a bid to win his 24th career Denny's PBA Tour title. We've got much more coming from Hammond, Indiana on the way.
Well, the win in Hammond, it definitely took some pressure off me. I didn't have to, like, prove to myself anymore that I knew how to win. And then with Dad passing, that just made it that much more nicer. That was the first time since he had passed that I'd won, and even made the show. It ranked right up there with the first one, I know that. So it was very emotional and very exciting one for me.
An unforgettable moment for PDW, winning in this very Bowling Center last week in Buffalo. He won his 33rd career title. So Norm Duke, guys, is through to the finals, a 279-233 win over Michael Haugen Jr. His final 9 strikes, Randy. He was red hot to finish off Michael in that first match.
Yeah, he just kept doing what he had done all week, and that's throw a lot of strikes and make people look bad. Hats off to Michael Haugen. He bowled a great game, but Norm's way too strong. And my question to you, Chris, can anybody stop the Duke Express?
Well, in my opinion, there's only one guy that I think has a chance, and that's Mika. He's the only guy that's bowled anywhere near his level, but he's got a match to win first. It's a tough road.
Well, in the last 2 years, there has been history made on the Denny's PBA Tour. Women trying to excel and compete against the men. A couple years ago, Liz Johnson out of Buffalo, New York, made the finals in Grand Rapids. Lost to Tommy Jones, though, trying to become the first woman ever to win a Denny's PBA Tour tournament. Last year, right here in this very Bowling Center, Kelly Kulick became the first ever woman to earn an exemption. Last week in Buffalo, we caught up with Kelly, Liz Johnson, and Michelle Feldman, seeing how they're doing against the men this year. 3 of the world's top female bowlers are doing the best they can to become the first woman ever to win a Denny's PBA Tour title. Kelly Kulick feels the men on tour have treated her very well.
I don't think the men view me as a female. They just see me as another competitor. And that's the way that I want them to see me as.
Since I've been out here, the guys treat me very equal.
They don't see that I wear a skirt when I'm off the lanes if I want to, or do my hair any differently. They just see me as a bowler.
It doesn't matter who it is, male or female, they're bowling against, a bowler.
Obviously, the media attention has been great. I look forward to benefiting from myself as well as the tour.
We're all former, PWBA players, and, between, I think the 3 of us, we have 20-some titles. So, we have the experience to come out here and bowl against the best bowlers in the world. And, I think it shows that we can, compete at that level.
Last week of the Atomic Championship in Buffalo, each competed. For Kelly, even though she is exempt, getting through match play is no easy matter. She's finding it a big challenge out there with the men.
It's very difficult to get to match play. It's, again, you're combating conditions, you're combating the crosses that you're with, who you're bowling on the same pair with, who's to the left, and who you're following to the right. So there are a number of variables that you have to face after every game, going to the next pair. It's not always fun, just like today. It was really an uphill climb all day long and a lot of guessing, and darn, I guessed wrong a lot of times. Just a bad day overall.
Liz Johnson has had the most success of any of the female bowlers so far. A round of 8 matchup last week with the eventual champ, Pete Weber. Huge challenge for Liz and an honor to bowl against Pete.
Pete's a great bowler. He's going to throw strikes. And you just have to try to stick with that. And just, fill frames and hopefully put some strikes together. It was tough. It was, I felt like I had to almost be perfect out there. By the end of the night, I was physically and mentally pretty tired. So I felt like I gave it a good run. And no reason to hang my head.
My goal is for the outside public to educate them about the sport of bowling, to have them gain interest in the sport, and hopefully tune in to Sunday afternoon so they'll watch myself if I make it and other bowlers if they make it.
So guys, here are the top female qualifiers so far this year. Liz Johnson, Kelly Kulick, Michelle Feldman, and Jen Pencher from Canton, Ohio. Each have had some success throughout the year.
Yeah, and all 4 of these ladies can really throw it, but in my opinion, I think Liz Johnson has the best shot of a woman ever winning on this tour, because what she does very well. But when she has her look, she's as good as the guys are.
Well, Kelly, her struggles have been not unlike many rookies in that she struggled early. The transitions are different out here. And what was her strength in the women's tour is not necessarily her strength in the men's tour. I think she'll get better as the year goes on, but she's had her troubles early.
Next week, we're headed up Route 294 near Chicago, the Discover Card Windy City Classic, about an hour from here, where Jason Couch snapped a 42-event winless streak last year, won his 12th career title over Joe Ciccone in the final, 217-204. Can he defend his championship? We'll find out next Sunday, 1 o'clock Eastern Time here on ESPN. First, though, Lake County Indiana Classic. Who will face Norm Duke in the final? That's the question we're about to answer. Steve Rogers' first ever TV appearance against Mika Koivuniemi. With 9 straight strikes to finish up his match with Michael Haugen Jr. Look at Norm Duke, 279, 233 winner. He's in the final. Take on either Steve Rogers or Mika Koivuniemi. That's the semi coming up next. PBA.com, your best source for all the latest news about the Denny's PBA Tour. Visit PBA.com to learn more about the recently announced Denny's All-American High School Championship and how eligible male and female high school bowlers can earn a chance to bowl on ESPN. Nominations for this event, which will be contested in March in conjunction with the Denny's World Championship in Grand Rapids, Michigan, are due by January 8/07. So log on today. Here's Steve Rogers' first ever TV appearance. Nice start for Steve, tripping out the 7-pin. As you can tell, he has got quite a following here. He had to buy 40 tickets, he told us yesterday, for family and friends coming to watch him. He's from Bourbonnais, Illinois, which is about an hour south of where we are here in Hammond, Indiana.
He's a very eccentric guy, and Mika Koivuniemi is like his polar opposite.
From Heartland, Michigan, originally, though, from Finland. Major Mika, as we've known him. Gets help on number 10. First TV appearance for Mika this season, who has won 2 major championships. Ace Hardware matchup, Chris. How'd you break down these two? Rogers, Koivuniemi.
Well, the real question here is which Steve Rogers is going to show up. We've seen Brian Davis shoot 299 on his first show. We've seen Sean Rash win a TV show last year. Is that the guy that's going to show up today, or is it the guy that shows up 90% of the time that shoots 160 in his first match on TV?
I think Steve Rogers is going to go all out. He's got nothing to lose. He told us last night he's got nothing to lose. Go out and have fun. I think that's a great attitude to have.
Mika, one of 75 bowlers to make his first title a major. It was back in 01 at the U.S. Open. Major Mika, born and raised in Finland. 10th on the PBA Tour rankings last year. Here's Rogers' road, Randy, to the championship round over Jack Jurek, and man, were his family and friends cheering him on here Friday night.
Yes, it was very loud in here Friday night. That needs help.
Almost have a double wood. The 8-pin instead stands for Steve Rogers.
And I think the key when you're bowling on this pattern, at least today especially, is trying to keep the ball a little bit straighter. And as you can see here, he kind of misses this one off of his hand, which projects it too far to the right. And that's not what made the guy successful this week, Chris. It was going straighter.
It really was straighter, but the interesting dynamic today is you have 4 players on the same pair, and they're all playing straighter. I think they beat up that front part of the lane a little bit more. Combine that with the back end, seems to be hooking a little bit more. He's decided to go ahead and move left. Mika's shelled down to a ball that's a little bit straighter than the one he was using during the week and decided to stay closer to where he played earlier.
Saw the best finishes in Rogers' career, guys. And Randy mentioned little eccentric side for Steve Rogers. Calls himself Captain America.
He's a right-brainer.
We'll tell you why.
You see, that ball there is on line.
Captain America, because the real name from the Marvel Comics character is
Steve Rogers.
Rogers, right? A crime fighter. That's the description of the Marvel Comics website. And Spider-Man is, in fact, in the house. Another Marvel Comics superhero with the logo.
It's a regular superheroes convention today.
We thought things could get wacky with Steve Rogers in the house, and we were right. Spider-Man has made an appearance. Wow, great shot from Mika. Spider-Man or not. Our Flomax Weekly Update. Last week in Buffalo, tied for 44th was Mika Koivuniemi. And it has been a while, since January of the 05-06 season, since Mika's been on TV. We asked him what the issues have been. He said it's a matter of equipment, matter of making adjustments. And Chris, as you know, Mika doesn't really make it too fancy. For him, just wasn't bowling well.
No, he said physically he was bowling well. He wasn't making good choices. He made some changes over the summer. He's gone to no tape in the back of the thumb hole to get out of that cleaner. And he's made some changes with his posture that Randy will go into later.
Latte.
Which means carry in finish.
He may have said hold on, because that one was
I think he said Kesta on that one.
Which is hold
latte,
on.
Kesta, that all sounds the same to me.
Yeah. Kadol means get a strike in finish. We love to translate when Mika gets on TV. It's awfully fun.
And the one we all want to know.
60 feet to success,
boy,
Dave,
that's
is what?
a tough one. Just give me a second to load that one up. I've got to get my phonetics out. Here's Rogers.
There you go.
Are you kidding me? Now that's the emotion we thought we'd see from Steve Rogers, who, by the way, is an expert in the martial arts.
Yeah, he said he was a brown belt, so I guess we shouldn't say anything bad about him today for fear of him coming after us. But boy, what a nice break there, and on a really good shot.
And
this is the definition, guys, of a journeyman. 27 regional tournaments last season. He cashed in 5. Cashed in only 5. This is a bowler who has struggled mightily on the regional and PBA tour level, who suddenly has broken through on TV.
It's really been it's a dream, a dream week for him, and
no pun intended.
Well,
he's a really nice guy, and it's nice to see nice guys, catch a break here and there. And I need to see that sign again. That almost floored me. Dave and Randy who or something, I don't know. But Steve Rogers is a good guy. He's a hard luck story, and he is really living the dream.
The fans here are supporting Steve Rogers, who several years ago had a jacket made up with the dream on the back of it. It was embroidered on the back because he was trying to raise money to get himself on the PBA tour at that time. Well, he didn't get enough money 20-odd years ago, 25 years ago. So here he is now on tour as Mika splinters the pins deep into the pit with another strike, trying to end the dream right here of Steve Rogers. That's what he'd like to do. 31-pin lead for Mika Koivuniemi with a great start. Motel 6 frame. He's thrown the front 5 as Mika. On striking the 6, he'll earn $600 from Motel 6, official lodging partner of the PBA. Also eligible for a $6,000 bonus if he throws the front 6 more than any other bowler on TV this year. Hey, he's got the 600.
That's just chump change to this guy.
Tony Reyes did it too on the way to a 300. And before Tony had the 17th 300 Denny's PBA Tour history on TV, who did it last? Mika Koivuniemi. Windsor Locks, Connecticut. In the blizzard back in 2003. The conclusion of this match next from Hammond, Indiana. The Lake County Indiana Classic is brought to you by Bear. The more you know, the more you trust Bear. By Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% on car insurance. Visit geico.com. And by Prescription Flomax. That is the Star Plaza Theater. Clay Aiken, The Temptations, B.B. King playing there. Oh, by the way, the next act, Steve Rogers. A little disco dancing for the PBA bowler. We told you he has plenty of charisma. We weren't kidding around. Mika Koivuniemi, flatline, stoic, no response. Randy, let's look at the Atonic Edge this week.
Well, that's a hard segue to go from Danny Terrio to Mika Koivuniemi, but let's try it. This is Mika's old game, and Chris Barnes alluded to the fact that Mika's made some changes. I want you to watch the height of his swing right here in his third step. Now, what Mika's done is he's changed his posture. What he's trying to do is he's trying to get over it a little bit more at the start and maintain that angle throughout the entire swing. But watch what it's done to the height of his swing. Much, much slower. So what that means is the ball's actually getting into the backswing a little bit later, which allows Mika to get a little bit lower at the foul line and puts him in better position to deliver the ball shot after shot.
Sure seems to be working this week.
Without question.
He's got the front six, does Mika Koivuniemi, bidding for another 300 game. He is on 17 to roll 300 on TV. Steve Rogers, Disco King, in some serious trouble.
Oh.
7-pin.
Yeah, that's just that's a rotten break there. But again, I think that the problem with Steve Rogers' carry is all about entry angle. He's got a little bit more back end. He's curving the ball a little bit more than we saw Norm Duke do and what Mika's doing.
And that was the difference all week. You could hook a little bit, and in qualifying you got away with it and could qualify. But once you got to match play and you bowled the guys who are playing correctly, the guys that hooked it miss an extra hit or two a game. Finish 30, 40 pins.
Yikes, and there he whiffs on the 7-pin, guys, an open frame, which will, in all likelihood, spell the end to his dream here. Missed it. There was a lot of energy in the building here Friday when he beat Jack Jurek in the round of 8. After he clinched the match in the 6th game, he slid to his knees. Long slide, Randy. Showtime, he said. And then he started to chant with the crowd. Dream, dream, dream.
Well, he better keep striking like that or it's going to turn into his nightmare, because I don't see Mika doing anything but throwing it high flush the rest of the game.
Look at this, 49 and counting. Oh yeah, the front 7. Doug Kent winning the Masters in Milwaukee, $100,000, the 2-season exemption, tops the list. Walter A. Williams Jr. won $50 grand in Japan when he set the record for tour titles with 42. Pete won last week on tour in Buffalo, did not defend his title this week, lost in the round of 8 to Michael Haugen Jr. And there's Lena Koivuniemi. She's here along with daughter Ida, who is 13. Daughter Lydia, back home, is 6. She's got a birthday party sleepover this weekend, couldn't make the trip. Priorities, right? Crossing over, Brooklyn!
Luck is on my side, drop the line, I'm coming! Get the chopper! Wow, it's not bad enough that he's got the front 7 and he has to throw this one in trip 6. You know, Chris, I know another guy that knows a lot about trip 6 for a lot of money.
Thrown one.
Alluding to the Motel 6 roll of riches in the Dallas area last year, where Chris won a couple $100,000 with that clinch over Mike Scroggins. That was unforgettable. Steve Rogers off the mark again. It's going to be a split. His day will end here against Major Mika Koivuniemi. It's going to be Mika and Duke in the final. And guys, disappointing for Steve Rogers. He told us yesterday if he won this $25,000 first place prize, he was going to use that money to help fulfill another dream of his, building a bowling center in his hometown.
I'll tell you what, he's going to walk away from this week with some nice cash, and this is, without a doubt, the best week of his bowling career. Something he'll never forget.
Oh! There's a little dance from Steve Rogers.
He does know Boogie Nights wasn't a documentary, right?
He was hoping to become the 76th bowler in tour history to win his first title in his first show. Mika can smile because, hey, I've got a huge lead. That's all right. Look at all those X's there. Strikes galore from Mika, 8 straight. He's 4 away.
Well, hats off to Steve Rogers. He got here. He earned his way here. Nobody gave it to him. A lot of perseverance and hard work. But that man right there is trying to become the first man ever to bowl 2 300s on television. It's never been done.
Imagine that. Now, the last time it was done, guys, with 2-in-1 season, Norm Duke and Mika, the two finalists, did it. In 2003, Norman Tacoma against Walter A. Williams Jr., Mika, the memorable 300 against Jason Couch in Connecticut near Hartford. And here he goes. Already he's made some history this week. How about 9, Mika? Oh. Way high through the nose. And a 6-pin count. The bid will end.
And I think that's actually a good thing, Chris, because now he knows he has to make up his mind as to what type of an adjustment he's going to make for the title match against Norm Duke.
I think you're absolutely right. He had the same reaction on both lanes. He has a chance now to move and practice in the 10th.
The dominance Randy continues. You talked about top of the broadcast. In his first match on TV, he'll move to 17-3 in his first match.
What does that tell you?
Wow.
It's just an amazing thing.
Hope you get Mika in the title match instead of the first match.
Step ladder away from Mika. Yeah. Anything but face him in that first semifinal with a 4-bowler format here that we have on many of our tour events.
Well, Randy, I think you were one of the most successful people on TV ever. What kind of mindset do you think Mika shares with you?
I think it's all about thinking the right thoughts and not letting any of the other stuff interfere with the computer. You know, you practice to get from point A to point B on a consistent basis, and then once you program that, then it's all up to you allowing yourself to bowl in a subconscious fashion. And I think Mika's great at that because he just tunes everything else out and just concentrates on making good shots and repeating good shots.
Guys, the PBA and the USBC have combined forces to allow league bowlers to experience the same leg conditions. Guys like these, Mika, Steve Rogers, Michael Haugen Jr., Norm Duke experience. It's called the PBA Experience. These are leagues, certified sport bowling leagues, starting after January 1st, offering a new line of awards that reflect the significance of shooting a high game in this challenging environment. Randy, what do you think of that?
I think it's great because you can see how the pros attack any given lane condition and what adjustments they make while you watch them on TV on Sunday, and then try your hand on the same pattern during your league the next week.
A lot of kids are going to get a chance to this next week. I have a scholarship tournament. It's called the Chris Barnes Thanksgiving Youth Classic. It's in Dallas, and it's open to all youth bowlers from 5th to 12th grades. And they're going to bowl on the shark pattern, one of these PBA experiences. And for more information, you can find that at bowl.com.
All right, now to experience the challenge, competition, excitement of the PBA Experience Leagues, go to that website, bowl.com, for more, or pba.com. So we've got your websites covered and all your tournaments and the PBA Experience, which is coming up. It all starts January 107, right around the corner after the holidays. The dream for Captain America. Far and away one of the more creative bowlers we've ever been around in terms of personality.
9-pin, no tap count.
1 against 2 in title matches. Wow. It's the second time the top 2 seeds are going to go at it for a PBA crown. Last time in Atlanta, Tommy Jones won one of his 4 titles last year en route to the Chris Schenkel Player of the Year award.
Yeah, it'll be a battle of the 270s as Mika Koivuniemi shot 276. Norm Duke, 279.
Well, guys, a year ago, Bill O'Neill in Omaha in his debut. Lost in the finals to Mike Machuga as a good friend of Norm Duke, who awaits Mika. Art Brown, second round of the Masters. Mike Scroggins eventually won that. Chris Collins lost to Mike Wolf in the finals of the Empire State Open near Albany. Sean Rash won in Parkersburg. All the debuts from last season. This year, the dream will come to an end for Steve Rogers against Major Mika. The fantastic Finn, Mika Koivuniemi. A blowout winner over Steve Rogers. in this semifinal, 276-194. That means Norm Duke, Mika, Koivuniemi meet for the championship from here in Hammond, Indiana. Coming up, we'll have a live interview on the phone with Robert Smith. Very good PBA bowler who has some injury issues. We'll tell you what's happening. Breaking news on the Denny's PBA Tour with Robert next.
Tom Coughlin helped put Jacksonville on the NFL map, taking an expansion team to the AFC Championship game in his second year. Now he returns to North Florida with Eli Manning and the battered and bruised Giants visiting the Jaguars, who are fighting for their playoff lives. The Giants in Jacksonville at 8:30 Eastern on ESPN's Monday Night Football.
All right, Mike Tirico, thanks. Looking forward to that. And special thanks to Jason Sands, Director of Sports Development for the South Shore Sports Promotion. Helping out with our great event here in Hammond today. Norm Duke, Mika, Koivuniemi set to go in the final. First, let's go on the Denny's PBA Tour on the road. Discover Card Windy City Classic next week. Hawthorne Lanes near Chicago. Pro-Ams, log on to PBA.com for ticket information. The week after, we're going to Wickliffe, Ohio, near Cleveland. Great bowling area where Walter Ray Williams Jr. a couple years back won his 40th career title en route to 42, setting the record. Freeway lanes of Wickliffe, Ohio, also will be sites for the Pro-Ams this year. Chris, Randy, we have some breaking news in the Denny's PBA Tour having to do with Robert Smith, one of the great bowlers on our tour. Unfortunately, Robert has been injured, has a hip problem, and he joins us live in Southern California via the phone. Robert, what's the very latest on your injury condition?
Hi, guys. How you doing? Pretty much found out that I've got a pretty good case of arthritis and strained my the joints and the muscles in my hip, and pretty much need 2 to 3 months off to get this thing healed correctly again. They went from the right to the left side, and it's just been one of those things I've been fighting for over the last couple of years, so it's been kind of frustrating.
Robert, this is Randy Peterson. We know you've seen doctors. How long will you be out of action for? Any idea?
Well, right now, it looks like the diagnosis is for 2 to 3 months. I'm going to try to get this thing right, just work hard. I just took things for granted for so long, and now it's just kind of one of those things where I think age is starting to catch up, and I need to what my body's telling me.
Hey, Robert, this is Chris Barnes. We understand you've applied for to defer your exemption until next year. What's the status there?
I actually just got a call back from the Commissioner, Fred Schreier, yesterday, and it looks like they've accepted my applications. With just a real sad thing for me, but it looks like I won't be bowling anything until probably later on at the end of the year, and hopefully catch the 2 majors there at the end of the season.
Well, Robert, all the best. Thanks for joining us live from Southern California, and we hope you're back on the lane soon. Get well soon, buddy.
Get well soon, guys, Robert.
Appreciate the call, and my over-under is 540 between Norm and Mika.
You got it.
We'll keep that in mind. There's Robert Smith live on the phone from Simi Valley, California, not far from L.A., so out at least until the end of the season because of a hip problem. So who's in? Well, Paul Fleming. He did not get in through the tour trials. He's the next person off last year's points list. He could be with us on the Denny's PBA Tour next week at Hawthorne Lanes near Chicago. The first bowler out of the rankings not exempt for this season. So Paul Fleming from the Dallas area is in. Who's in the final? Well, it's Mika Koivuniemi. He's getting set to take on the great Norm Duke. We've got a fabulous championship match. It's up next on ESPN. Koivuniemi, a dream matchup from Hammond, Indiana. Mika, let's start with you. A tremendous run and nearly a 300. How do you move past that and focus on this match?
It's a different match again, and I have to start afresh. And lanes are changing a lot, so I have to figure them out now.
How do you feel you're dealing with the pressure in this tournament today?
I feel really confident right now, and I just have to make good shots.
All right. Thanks, Mika. Norm, let's turn to you. Usually you're with us in the TV booth. Today, a little bit of change of role. I know one you like very well. How do you feel you're seeing the pins?
Well, I'm much more comfortable here than I am in the booth, but, as Mika said, the lanes have changed quite a bit since my first match. And, you know, a lot remains to be seen at this point, Dave.
You haven't lost a match all the way through here. Perfect now, 13-0 in match play. How do you stay focused for one more match?
Just focus on 14 in a row. That's it. It's just one. Really, it's only one.
Winning, it means a lot to you. How do you best describe winning a tournament?
Well, that's what we're out here for. It's what we dreamed of as kids, and I still dream about it. So, you know, I'm just still chasing this dream.
Thanks a lot, Norm.
Thanks.
Okay, well, his substitute up in the booth, Chris Barnes today. Chance to look at the Geico Championship recap along with Randy.
Chris in semifinal number 1. Norm Duke defeated Michael Haugen by the score 279 to 133. Norm threw 11 out of 12 strikes, and that proved to be way too much for Haugen to overcome.
You got away with that one in the ninth.
In semifinal number 2, Mika continued his first match dominance by defeating Steve Rogers 276 to 194 with a little dance.
Well, it sets up a great championship match for the number 1 seed and the number 2 seed. They'll square off for the championship match here in the 2007 Lake County Classic.
2006.
I'm sorry, 2006.
We're almost there.
That's what my copy said.
I know. Ron Burgundy, you got to watch that. Don't
Ron
read
Burgundy
exactly.
and I will read anything that you put on the paper there.
Oh, what a great start for Mika.
2006. All right. Picking up where we left off last week.
Mika stays hot. Norm Duke, 279, 233 winner over Michael Haugen Jr. There you see that number. 9 straight strikes. Chris, to finish off his first match, he was incredibly hot himself.
Well, Randy has 2 choices here. He can stay straight or he can move in.
10-pin.
Looks like he stayed straight. I'm not sure what the right play is going to be here.
Well, you go with what got you there, or as Norm would say, dance with the one you brung. And it looks like he's going to try to stay straighter and go at him from there at least early on. And if his carry doesn't get better than that ring in 10, you can bet that he will make the change and make it without hesitation.
What frame do you think? What frame would you make a change?
I'd probably give it 2 or 3 shots, and then I'd probably jump in and open it up just a little bit.
Head-to-head, Norm does have a 1-0 lead on Mika. Title game of the Greater KC Classic back in 03, won it by just 3 pins. I think we'll see a high number this time. That was 197, 194 all those years ago. Perfect shot. 60 feet to success, Norm Duke, leading us to the Ace Hardware matchup. Randy, we've got 2 heavyweights on the lanes today.
Boy, I'll say, and both players have bowled 300s this week. Mika had 2 of them. Mika almost bowled 300 last game, and I got to be honest with you. Yeah, Norm did dominate him in match play. Mika pretty much dominated all week in qualifying. I think it's a coin toss.
All right, guys, are you ready? Here it is in finish. Guse Kumenta Yalaka. 60 feet to success.
Yeah, but see, that's what you think it means because that's what Mika said. But you have absolutely no idea if it really means that.
We're trusting Mika to give us an accurate
could mean like
I think you offended an entire country.
Yeah, or it could mean like, hey, Dave, you've got spinach in your teeth. You have no idea what it means.
I'm going to look it up now when I get back home. I'll tell you that.
You should have looked it up before you said it on the air.
Mika's a good guy. He wouldn't steer us wrong, would he? Please?
I'll tell you what, he's a closet prankster.
Oh, there's some help on number 4.
I'll tell you what, you don't win out here on the Denny's PBA Tour without catching breaks at some point, and that's a huge one to start this match.
And he knows he got a break there. He got that ball right. That's the furthest right any shot he's thrown in the last half a game, and that had no trouble getting back. It's got to be good news.
And bad news for Norm. Down 20, looks for the double. Doesn't get help on the 2-pin. Looking down lane, Chris, at the ball reaction and wondering.
He looked like he tried to be really, really nice to that one at the bottom. He didn't want it to hook early. which has been the move he's made all week. He hasn't moved left. He's stayed there and just gotten nicer or gotten firmer and made the ball go longer and tried to get the ball to stay on line and create hold. That time it went all the way by.
Yeah, Dave, that ball never read it. Right. That ball never read it at all. So Chris is right. He's getting softer and softer and weaker with that hand. It read it on the left lane, but that shot there, the ball was like on a sheet of ice for 60 feet.
It's been a very frustrating year for Norm, who has joined us in the booth up until today. On our broadcast, just missed the Japan Cup TV show by 1 pin. The top 9 made it in that event to TV. Split 4-10. Randy, what happened there?
This is about the worst break I've ever seen on TV, of ball hitting the pocket, aside from the pocket 7-10. I mean, he just shredded the rack, and the head pin goes in front of the 4-pin and the 10-pin. Just an awful, awful break.
After rolling through the round of 8 on Friday, told us he's been in a zone before. Didn't feel like he was in a zone. He's got to find it again here, guys. Nearly kicks it across the deck for the 10, but can't get it. An open frame. And the way Mika's bowling, Chris, that may be enough. We'll talk more about that when we come back. Norm Duke in a big hole to Mika Koivuniemi in the finals. Just to straighten out the record, this is in fact Jason Sands, Director of Sports Development for South Shore Sports Promotions. Earlier we showed you Todd Breeder, who is the Vice President of Stardust Bowl. Thanks to each of those gentlemen for helping out with a great event here, and sorry for the confusion.
Let's take a look at a little left lane action, and some days you're the dog and some days you're the hydrant. Watch the break Mika gets to trip 4. I'm going to show you the hydrant. It's right here. Pretty good pocket hit, shreds the rack and leaves a split. Could be the difference in the match.
You are right, sir. Norm in a huge hole. Down 33 pins. Mika has a turkey to start off. First 3. Looks for the front 4. Championship match. 4-pin. Good looking shot.
Well, I didn't think so. I thought it was high immediately out of his hand. As soon as it left his hand, I thought it was left of target the whole way, and I think he was fortunate that that ball stayed on line.
Yeah, you know, he and Norma both played so straight and played so much hold that by moving in, he's made it a little bit tougher to create hold. His angles are about the same. They're still really direct up the lane, but the ball wants to turn over now a lot more than it did before.
Mika coming off a strong season, guys, but didn't win a title for just the second time in the last 6 years. Was 10th in the rankings, so it's not like he didn't show up. I mean, he performed quite well, but didn't come away with a title, which he told us yesterday was very disappointing. 9 spare in the 4th frame. Lead at 32 pins over Norm Duke. He's the first foreign-born bowler to win the Masters and the U.S. Open. Once the big tournaments. Oh, how about the sweeping scout there to help out on the 6 and 10.
And you heard Mika say in his interview with Dave at the start of the match just how much the lanes were changing and that he had to figure them out, and apparently he hasn't done that. Chris, what is the move?
Well, this is a different ball for him, so he's got a few questions in his head. This ball responds down lane much sharper than the one he's using during the week. During the week, he just went with more loft and more speed. I'm not sure he can do that from that particular spot. I think he's going to have to move left a little bit, but he's got to be careful not to get in the Steve Rogers trap where he starts giving the 3-pin away, because once it gets right of the 3-pin, it doesn't make it back.
Bottom of the screen, other finishers. Here at Denny's PBA Tour event, Hammond, Indiana. Back to Norm. Look out. Can't get the 10-pin now all week long, guys, going from the outside, going straight at the pins. Now he left a little bit, Randy, to go for more of a hook.
Yeah, but he said that the first part of the tournament, first couple of games, that he'd actually move in and play this type of shot here. But what's interesting is that he's chosen to do this late after there's already been carry down and breakdown. He goes and changes balls, completely changes his angle, and then gets a pretty rotten break in that ring and 10.
31. You know, when Norm and I bowled, consistently in his fill balls, he'd moved in and was ready to move in
Can I have
there.
a rack on
I never
39,
won
please?
enough games to make him go to that distance, but his look from in was almost as good as his look from out. I just assumed his carry would go down, but maybe everybody's carry is going to go down now.
Norm calls for a re-rack here, guys. Sometimes that'll give you time to think about the next shot. We see the all-time money leaders as he tries to catch Parker Bone the third.
Norm's going to curve it now. He's made the choice. He's moving in, and he's going to hook it.
Today surpassing Brian Voss's good buddy. Getting to the final. He's made the move, Randy, and it's paid off.
But what does Mika do now, Chris? Does he jump in there with Norm, or does he go with more loft and more speed?
Well, I think it's a less risky move now. I mean, you can turn into a shot-for-shot thing. They can both move in a little bit, both play, you know, similar lines, and you know, it's not about a decision that you can turn into who makes the best shots the rest of the way down. I think I would move in if I was Mika now.
Pin again for Mika Koivuniemi.
Well, and the scoring pace has really slowed down since the first two matches. And Chris, you see it on a weekly basis. Just oil transition, the bowling balls absorbing oil off the lane. 4 guys playing the same zone, and then the pattern just basically disintegrating in front of you.
Yeah, this pattern in particular didn't really blow up that fast. It was pretty subtle, and it was in the front. And so you can make parallel moves for quite a while. The best players, which were these two guys, were able to stay there the longest and use speed, hand pressure, and loft to stay there. But they've both decided to move in now, and that will bring their scoring pace down to where the rest of the field was during the week, which is closer to the 220s rather than the 240s and 50s where they were.
All right, guys, interesting progression of this match now. Into the 7th frame. As you both astutely pointed out, the numbers starting to tame a bit here late. How will each change strategy? High shot there. Boy, that could have been a split through the nose from Mika on a dangerous-looking ball.
Yeah, he's going to have to make a move now. He's going to have to move in and start opening it up to that track area where the other players have been for the entire afternoon and do a little bit more of what Norm's doing, and that's giving away a little bit of the pocket.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, Randy. I think he did make a small move that time, a little parallel one. But you're absolutely correct. I think he's going to have to move 4 or 5 and get inside where Norm is.
His wife and one of his daughters watching here as he picks up a nice spare. Sigh of relief from Mika and his family. And we asked Mika last night about that incredible average in the first match of TV shows, now up to 17-3 in his career. He said, I'm not sure why it's like that. I focus well early, try to keep it simple, keep it clean, stay out of trouble. The way to stay out of trouble, Chris, avoid the open frames, especially in a championship match this late. It was a big pickup. Now it's Norm. The door is slightly ajar. They take advantage. That's a big strike.
I really like what Norm's doing now, Chris, but the only time I've ever seen him get into trouble when he's made these changes is that when he starts to hook it, he tends to overhook it. Now, this is what he was doing early on. You see how flat his hand is, how straight up the back of the ball he is, right around the 8th board. Now, look at this. A little bit different hand position, different bowling ball, and watch the hand rotate around the side. About 7 or 8 boards left.
That's all pro right there.
That's Hall of Fame.
Yeah, great work by our crew, too, to demonstrate the big move left. Much more of a hook by Norm Duke. He stays there. And has 10 down to the pit. Big strike, a double for Norm. 7th and 8th frames, he's right back in it.
Chris, I hear you say a lot of times when I talk to you about your bowling, about you being nice to it at the bottom. And I just want to ask you, was Norm nice to that one at the bottom?
Well, he was catching it pretty good, but he is in such good rhythm right now, he can hook it with less effort, and that's really the key.
Look at the lead shrink here, guys. 7 pins. Mika needs some strikes. Like that. Blast 10 down into the pit. A big one in the 8th frame.
And I think the good news for Mika is he's going to finish on that right lane, because I think he's a little confused on this left lane. And here's the deal. If he doesn't strike in this 9th frame, Norm can strike out 9th and 10th and steal this title from Mika Koivuniemi.
Mika trying to make some headlines back home in Finland, where he's a very big sports celebrity. Everyone knows who Mika Koivuniemi is in Finland. On a regular basis, the Finnish news agency calls him up for interview updates, does radio interviews over the cell phone back home to Europe.
That's big.
That's huge. What would be running through your mind on a shot like that?
If I was who, Mika or Norm?
Mika.
Well, obviously he had to make another adjustment, and when you decide to make these changes, you have to do it with conviction. There can't be any second guessing, because you won't be able to perform. So you get up, you make the adjustment, and you believe that it's the right move to make.
Ninth frame. Four-bagger! Noren Duke is right in this match.
How good is this shot?
The answer is pure, Chris Barnes. Perfect location in the 1-3 pocket.
Strikes out for 237. Mika can strike out for 244. It's all going to come down to who performs, who wants it the most. Right here, 10th frame.
Oh! Big triple to 10.
How about that 410 now? Norm says, you know what? I got your 410. I'm going to give the 10 pin a little bit of business right here. Take that.
I need more bravery, buddy.
Little Tommy Jones action right there.
I need more bravery than that.
Tries to keep himself calm after the emotional outburst there. Boy, that's what amazes me about you bowlers. Ability to quickly focus after a shot.
This is what makes our sport, in any sport, so fun. Moments like this, coming through in the clutch.
In a row.
6 count is 3.
This is just absolutely 10 straight back. He said he needed a little more gravy on that one. Got that in the mashed potatoes.
Yeah, absolutely. That was pretty good. Now 7 or better will force Mika to get 2 in the 10th. Anything less, Norm will win this tournament.
Deliberately going right at the head pin for that count. And gets 9.
Boy, I'm not a big fan of that play, but you know what? He's great, and he's great at throwing it straight. He can do it. But
wow, that was something. Didn't hook it, went right at the head pin for as many as he could get. You saw what Mika needs. Incredible.
Wow. That's all I got to say about that. Wow.
Watch that then. Airplane, helicopter,
swan. What's the other one? Eagle.
Eagle.
Wow.
Talking about our Denny's PBA Tour promos on ESPN. Ooh, boy. Gotta be tough to watch. 1 more and 3.
Kesta!
Won't get it! Leaves the 6. Noren Duke is going to win it. His 24th Denny's PBA Tour title. So close. He'll win by 3.
Nice match there.
He goes undefeated through match play, the third person ever to do it, joining our Randy Peterson and Chris Haugen. Normal winner, Mika comes so close. The Lake County Indiana Classic is brought to you by Discover Card. It's time a credit card put you in the driver's seat. By Etonic, the official footwear of the PBA. Etonic, first one there. By Columbia 300, official PBA supplier of high-performance bowling balls. Columbia bowls the world over. And by Ace, the official hardware store of the PBA. Ace, the helpful place. Beautiful shot of the Indiana Dunes National Lakeshore. 15,000 acres with 90 forms of vegetation and the Chicago skyline in the distance. Had a great week here in Hammond. For more information, log on to LakeCountyCBB.com. Thanks for all who hosted us here. And how about Norm Duke with a tremendous win? He is now tied for 9th all-time on the day's PBA Tour list for titles with his great friend, Brian Voss. The Discover Card Windy City Classic from Hawthorne Lanes, Vernon Hills, Illinois, next week, 1 o'clock Eastern Time. It's been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For Chris Barnes, filling in for Norm, and Randy Peterson, it's Dave Ryan saying so long. Norm Duke wins big today.